Yo, what is going on, guys? Godrekton here today, bringing you a new video. In this video, I want to do a different video here, like just more of a talking topic type of video. A lot of the time I kind of have like these thoughts type of videos that I want to do in my head, but I never really do them. And with how League's going right now, and it being a pretty suitable topic for a lot of people, I feel like why not just make a video on this topic, which is how do we fix being hard stuck? So, let me break it down to you. Like, why am I making this video? So, currently, right now, in the season, I am basically hard stuck a little bit. And the thing with me is that I have not really hit this plateau in, like, quite a while. Like, every season, I would, improve greatly. Sometimes it's, like, it takes a while. It takes me a while to, like, play my games, get the hang of things, let things click, and then I climb straight into Masters and then go towards my peak ranks. However, this season so far, I haven't really hit the mark. Like, I haven't had this click. I haven't really been able to just get that streak into Masters yet, and I feel like there's very evident patterns in my own gameplay that I think I know why are holding me back and why I'm hard stuck. And the reason I'm making this as well is also just to inform you guys that yes, it's possible for even, people that are in Masters and Plus that can be hard stuck, or they can drop to levels and take a bit of time to get out. And it's not a thing you need to be, embarrassed about either. It is a part of the game. And I think it's a very important thing to also recognize, because a lot of people go and play this game, like they play 10 to 20 games a day, and they just play to coin flip. They don't play with the intent to improve. They don't play with the intent to climb out the elo or do things properly. They just want to click the play again button, keep going in, and hope things are different, And that is the definition of insanity. The fact that we continually do something to get the same results is exactly that. And that is basically probably 90% of people's claims, if we're being honest about it. Me as a player, I don't really spam anymore. My first problem with, like, that I usually had was I used to spam a lot of games, but nowadays I don't really get to play as much. And when I do I play in like very short quantities, and that always helped me out. However, with playing with short quantities, I have now found myself to be hard stuck. But while I'm hard stuck, I do want to show you guys why that is with this video and what I'm going to do to make sure I avoid this situation, as well as inform you guys what it takes to get out of being hard stuck. Now that we've covered like my own little, intro to the video, what does it mean to be hard stuck exactly? As a new player and hearing this term, what does it mean when you are hard stuck? So, hard stuck can have many different, like, people can use this word in like many different ways. Like, some people just say it to, like, insult people. Some use it to say that they're stuck in elo, and the definition for that reason can also be different in terms of, like, whether it's their teams, whether it's just the way the game is, like the way the champ is. Like, there's a lot of reasons, like, why we can be hard stuck, right? And what it essentially means, though, is that we're stuck at a certain point and we're unable to move. So if we need to go from point A to point B, we're usually stuck at the point A or just in between that, and we can't seem to get past that. And when we can't get past something, it is seen as a plateau. Now, when we plateau at something, that simply means that we cannot achieve greater than what we have achieved. Now, people can use this and spin in a way that you can't ever get past this, but that is far from the truth. Plateauing is just a term, Anyone can get better if they really try, and I don't think people should also take this word too much to heart, because a lot of people fall into this trap too, that they feel unlucky, undeserving, like they can't go any higher than they can, but that's simply false. Like, anyone can, If you're, studying for an exam and you can't, let's say you take it, 3 times, your first attempt, let's say you score an F on this exam, you do it really badly and it just doesn't work. Next we do the next exam, the second exam, and a similar thing happens again. We get the same score, we just can't seem to break past that barrier, and that's when the doubt settles in and all the negativity that is created in our mind towards this topic. Because we are unable to achieve and get the grades we want, we end up just, falling back and also regressing because of that. And that's also a real problem when you're hard stuck too. So when you're stuck in a rank for so long, you start to doubt your own abilities, you start to get inside your head more, and when you start doing that, you start going backwards. And a lot of people, for that reason, once they reach their peak, they might have a period where they're stuck and they stop going backwards. They might reach like the master tier for the first time, then they'll demote, they struggle to get it back, and then they slowly develop these bad habits too on top of that, and that's what pushes them further and further back towards a Diamond 4 or something like that. Hell, I even know one example, like from a friend. He achieved Masters back in... That was my phone. He achieved Masters back in season 11, 12? I think it was 12. And now he's in gold. And you wouldn't believe that, but it's a real thing. Like, this is a real thing and a topic that people do not talk about. And that's why I want to explain to you guys in a very eloquent manner, and also a way to understand what it is to be in this position and how to get out of it. But back to the exam as well, like the analogy I was going for. So we failed the second time. How are we ever going to finish the third time? If we keep on continually failing, why are we failing? Why are we unable to get the grades we want? And how are we unable to achieve even a fraction of like a result differently to what we've already had in Fs? Well, that's what I'm going to be coming on to now. That is, why are we hard stuck? Why do we fail to achieve further than we are doing? What is the reason for that? Well, just like in life, there's a lot of reasons to why maybe we're unable to do something. People can say it's a natural barrier, maybe for some, you know, and that's just how it is for some people in terms of like, you know, let's say disabilities or something that really does hinder them. However, for the person that has all the control and, you know, has the tools genuinely inside them to do that, that is basically the main thing. Like, everyone can really do it if they try to. But what are some of the reasons why we're stuck? Firstly, mental. Mental is probably the biggest thing within League of Legends. I don't care what you know about all these champions, all 160 odd champions. I don't care how many fast combos you can do. I don't care about like what your rank or peak was. At the end of the day, if you have a weak mental and you just don't know how to play around that, everything you know does not matter. Same with me. I feel like I'm very analytical. I feel like I'm very, you know, intelligent when it comes to the game. I can break down a game. I can go over many VODs. I can do all that thing. But if my mental isn't in sync with me, all that isn't going to work with me. And for a lot of people, when their mental is really bad, they came off a bad day, they play a league, everything gets in the head. Whether it's like a small little comment, a little, I don't know, smiley face when you do something bad, or like whether it's someone really like, you know, flaming you and like being very toxic to you. All these things will affect you and make you play worse because it gets in your head. That will then challenge somebody's ego, which can be another reason why you're hard stuck. And when that ego gets challenged, the player tends to flame people, and the player then tends to lack focus on the game itself, and that's what then creates them in this hard stuck position. So when you're spending, let's say you could have two options. You could spend the whole game trying, using every fraction of your mental ability to put on the game and to win, or you could simply just use 50% and type to the whole team the whole game. Hell, it might even be 100% because some people just stay in base and type, right? And that's the thing, right? It's like when you're using the ability to type and trying to take your mind away from the objective and a game where you're always required to think every second of the game length, then, you know, it makes sense why you're not going to perform. And I think even for myself, I can kind of attest to that lately, as you can see on the screen with my on a level 1, which is something that I have not achieved ever since Season 8, you know? But I'll get into that later as well. But firstly, mental. Mental is definitely probably the biggest reason why you might be hard stuck. However, there could be other things too that factor into that, and we have to be objective about this. The meta can have an influence. If you're a tank player in a meta with a bunch of like tank shredders, all champions that can do percentage health, go items that completely nullify you, and if you're a class that just doesn't have good items in that meta, then simply your champion's not going to do well, and that will hinder you. And that also comes down to being objective and also trying different things in the first place to kind of overcome that. However, you know, sometimes it can work for others, sometimes it can't work for others. And when, obviously, we don't get those results, it does affect our play. And the fact that we keep point energy and time invested into something that isn't working, that's clearly showing that we are hard stuck and that we are unable to get past this because we're forced into a position that we want to keep playing. Like, if you're a one-trick, if you're a Kiana player in a tank meta when all assassin items are weak and everyone's just playing champs that counter you, it's like you can't really do anything about that situation. And the best that you can do is play as good as you can, but even that is really hard. And quite frankly, that can be the reason people are stuck on Renekton sometimes. Even this meta right now, it's not really a favourable meta for Renekton. I don't think it's the worst, and I don't think it's why I'm hard stuck. However, I think for a lot of other people, possibly it could be with the champs that I picked, and maybe just the fact that they don't have the fulfillment in their own role to play it optimally. And that's also what can come down to why we're hard stuck. Following on from this, I also want to talk about champion limitations. That is also another one where we can be hard stuck just for that reason. Because we're playing a game where there's changes every 2 weeks, a champion simply can just get nerfed, and then that can leave us just in the worst state possible. Sometimes Riot makes really stupid decisions, as you know. I have a lot of videos documenting that on Godrekton, where they do undocumented changes, or they decide to make a change and completely leave him in the graveyard. With that said, it's a real thing. You can get your champion nerfed, and that can really like keep you down and unable to climb in the game. And when you're in those situations, you have to do everything you can to find the win. You have to try and go lengths and bounds to make your champion work. And I've done all that, and I still do that to this day. I don't think it's why I'm Hardstuck personally. However, I think it could be a real reason. And I don't think that should also deter people from also trying to learn their champions in these metas, because I think the person that can find a strategy to play them is ultimately like one of the better players, and that will benefit them in the meta where they're actually good too. And finally, the last two things that I think are also as important as mental as well, that I wanted to include as well, is the fact that bad habits can really keep us Hardstuck. If we're continuously making bad mistakes of, let's say, we're not warding and we're constantly dying top lane, giving gold to the enemy jungle that just snowballs the game, that will remain a bad habit in your gameplay. And because you're not recognizing that too, that is another reason why you could be Hardstuck. If you keep dying to your lane, you keep dying to matchups that you just cannot win, for whatever reason it is, that is essentially a big reason to why we just might be losing games, and also just being Hardstuck in the first place. So when it comes to bad habits, it's also like really important to realize what it is that we're making. And another thing that it's not even just about the game, however, when we think about this, it could even just be like real life stuff. Real life stuff will affect the way you play League. If you wake up with minimal amount of sleep and you go and play solo queue, then your brain's clearly not up to speed of the game. Like, you're going to be at a disadvantage. You have to think of every scenario. You can't autopilot. You have to be in the zone, focused in a lot of games. And if you're not putting all that effort in and you're not unable to due to this reason, that could be another reason. Maybe the fact that you're hungry. Maybe the fact that you had a bad day today, and then things in your mind that are affecting you from thinking about the game. These all attribute to being like that. And there's definitely a reason, there's definitely a way, rather, to fix these things. It's also important to acknowledge that this is a real thing. If you're playing at the highest level of play, or let's just say, in other terms, if you're in the Olympics and you need to be the very best athlete that you can possible, everything needs to be right. You need to get the right amount of sleep, the best amount of nutrition, you need to do every workout properly, you need to peak at the right time in terms of your workout performance. Like, you have all these aspects that go into winning a gold medal. And it's not easy. A lot of people can't do that because they either fail it, or down to natural ability, you know, they either win or they fail. And that's just how it is as well. And with League, you're playing at these highest levels, it is also a giant aspect into your own gameplay. With that said, if you're not taking care of your own self or doing the things possible outside of the game when trying to climb, then that's what's going to keep you Hardstuck too, because you can't rely on all these bad things to help you climb. There's not a single person at their peak when it is like this. Some people can use bad situations to their advantage and use League of Legends to climb, but a lot of people also aren't built like that. And I think the fact that this needs to be said is probably a wake-up call for a lot of you guys too, because it's a really important factor and probably another reason why you may be a little bit Hardstuck too. And finally, I think the last thing that keeps us all Hardstuck and just too focused about a rank as well as itself is the expectations. If we put so much high expectations into a game, when those aren't met, we continually decline. We will, start performing suboptimally, because let's say today, I'm 1 win away from Masters. If I lose that, then I'm back out of my promos and I have to go back in there. And I already had that hope, that belief that I was going to win. If I put so much of that into the aspect that I'm winning rather than expecting the, both outcomes of winning or losing, then that's just how it's going to be too. So when it does come to expectations, we can't really rely to put a lot of expectations on our games, because we're playing an RNG game. Anything can happen. People can't... It's like going into, a fight as a champion, right? You could have high expectations. You're supposed to beat this guy with a worse record than you. And then all of a sudden you get knocked out in seconds. And it's because you believed so hard that you were going to win. You ignored the whole opponent's strengths, and you fell for something that you probably wouldn't fall to if you really concentrated on that. So I think having expectations can really be damaging too. At least in the way of thinking there's only one outcome, and that's winning. A lot of people fall into this trap because it's a real thing, and a lot of people in this world don't know how to manage that properly, because people just want to see the good things in life, but you have to see the bad too to really see the good. That's how I go about my life too. And as soon as that you don't see those things and you tunnel on one thing only, when you do hit that roadblock and you fall back and you don't achieve the goal that you want, that's when you're going to start going backwards and you're going to start regressing and start misperforming and doing all these things that stop you in the first place. So now that I've mentioned all of these attributes onto why we are hard stuck as a community, why am I hard stuck? Why am I currently hard stuck at D1 and I'm unable to climb, in my own opinion? So, being that I'm a very objective, I want to say that probably my biggest reason right now is my own expectations. So I haven't played a lot of ranked this year so far, and when I have, I just jump straight into it. I don't take enough of an open mind, and I don't really pace myself properly to get to my peak performance. So that means I will jump straight into ranked. I will play my games on my stream. I always play on my stream, which is also another factor, but I don't want to put too much weight into this. So I play on my games. I have an expectation like, okay, I'm going to be masters. I deserve this rank. Like, I'm clearly better than my teammates, and I'm like, this is how I'm thinking recently. But I never used to be like this. I used to be very objective. I used to just be very open-minded, like, okay, I can win this game. I believe in my team. I can do this. I either win or I lose. I know every time that I peaked, I didn't even care about the win necessarily. I cared about the improvement. And I think that is something that we also need to do as a player. If we can simply look at the game in a way of improvement only, that's where our best results are going to come in, because I don't need the expectation that I'm going to just, you know, pour my eggs in one basket of winning. I don't need to win a League of Legends game to think that, to like achieve the aspect that I won. I could win by losing. Me making a mistake, or me like making a macro mistake in a game where it's like a 1v9, or maybe like a slight mistake I did early game, that can be really big for me because I can learn from that. And if we don't choose to learn from these things, then we're never going to improve in the first place, or even achieve to be great. You know, you always see people in like the UFC, or like even sometimes in boxing, obviously not all the time because people don't fight people in certain weight classes and they just avoid everyone they can, that there are people that want to be, you know, the best and the greatest, and the way you do that is, you know, you achieve to be great. You take on every challenge possible. It's not always going to go your way, but you can only do as good as you can, and after that you go back to the drawing board and you just do better. And that's just how it is with League too. Like, I really associate League of Legends a lot with fighting analogies, because I feel like they both go together. And in this case as well with the expectations, if I don't put too much expectations in me reaching a rank, I always do better because I have other ways to improve, and that should be my own gameplay. You will always do so much better if you focus in your own gameplay rather than a rank itself. And that's just how it is too, because why should I focus on that as a player? If I just only focused on what I could do better rather than the variables around me, I could easily achieve my rank, and I will next week, because this is going to be my whole mindset too into my next week climb, where I will be streaming every day and trying as hard as I can to even just show you guys the process. And I don't need to get masters right away, but I have a high confidence that my hypothesis is correct, and I will also talk more about that at the end of the video. But I guess another reason why I'm just like hard stuck is because my mental has been really bad recently, and it is also down to my expectations of thinking I should be better than I am. And while I could be, and that I am losing just due to unlucky games or people trolling me, which is also a real thing. You can be trolled because of your teams, you can be held back to an account, but that's not every game. And there's a lot more games than you think where you can have a difference. Like, I believe in the 30-30-40 rule. So if we add all these up, it equals 100. That means 30 games are auto win, 30 games are auto lose, and 40 games are down to our own outcome. Now, if we think about it logically, that means if I'm winning all my games and I'm doing as best as I can, and I have auto lose games, I'm going to equal out around to a 60% to a 70% win rate. And it's really real. If you look at all the, you know, the great players in League, they'll all have win rates like this, because that's just how the game is for them, you know? Like, they either perform or they don't perform. And there's a lot of coin flip players at 50%. And that's because genuinely they are at that rate. Like, they are there because they don't choose to do better, and they kind of flip coins and just go with it, you know? They just go with the flow of things. But I do think my mental is definitely a big thing right now. As you can see with it on a level 1, I got into a game where I had an AFK Kaiser. I was pretty upset about that because he's in my Masters promo. In that game, I was winning the game. I think a lot of people know this from a stream when they were watching. I was winning the game. It was a 4v5. My Fiddlesticks, who was also a player on my team, did not want to win. He kept spamming FFs. He wanted to get out the game, even though we were acing and winning the game. And it really bothered me because this game was so winnable and it left me in a really bad mood. And it also made me type, something I don't do often. I haven't done in like years till recently, as I'm becoming a little bit more regressed in my own habits that I did built in a good way. So with that said as well, that was the reason why I got chat banned, and it's also a reason to why I'm also not doing as good lately, because I'm kind of falling for a lot of these, you know, little battles in my game with my teammates when I should just mute and focusing on the game. And I guess if I had to think of anything else why I'm stuck personally, I think it's probably because the game's played and maybe the quality. I'm not focusing a lot of quality on improvement, and because I'm not doing that, my gameplay is not going up to the standard that it should be based on what I know. And, you know, it is a real thing that, you know, you can have people that are just super good at something. However, when it comes to showing that, they struggle because they don't practice enough. They don't put enough realization or, like, let's say, reality into the situation of what they're doing. And that's why, like, they kind of, like, fold. So in my case, it's like I have to play more, but I need to play with the intent to improve rather than to win. Because improving is winning, but winning is not improving, if you know what I mean. Like, think about it closely. If I was to just win a game without that aspect, and then I'm climbing up in rank, am I really improving compared to when I'm winning and maybe losing with the intent of only improving? Improving simply means that I'm searching for it. I'm searching for a reason to get better. I'm searching a reason to fix my losses. I'm searching a reason to correct my mistakes, my flaws, and also recognize the things that I'm doing good. If I'm winning, that doesn't necessarily mean that, because a lot of people in this game don't do that in the first place. They just kind of go next with the idea. They just keep playing and playing and playing to get their little number on their video game. And it doesn't hold up, and that's why we're Hardstuck in the first place. So with that said, there's a lot of reason why we're Hardstuck as players. How do we break out of them then? How do I, as a player that might have been hard, like if I'm putting myself in another shoes, like maybe my season 10 self before I hit Masters, how do I break out of my own habits? Firstly, we need to recognize them. What is it that has changed from where I was at? From my peak, what changed? My mental changed. Like, I don't have the same mentality. I wasn't improving. Like, I wasn't improving to win, I guess. I focused too much on my surroundings. I got tilted more often at my teammates when I shouldn't have got tilted. I should have focused on in my gameplay, because you can only do as good as yourself. And if you're going into these random battles with teammates or thinking of other variables, that will keep you back in your own elo. And you need to avoid that at all costs. Next, from recognizing the mistakes, it is also to learn from them. Learn how you could do something different. If I'm dying top lane just not warding, or I'm, you know, forcing a stupid fight because I'm tulling on the wrong person, I need to learn from that. I need to know what I could do differently. Top lane, just ward earlier. Ward at 240, you know, before the gank timer. Or close to 3 minutes, you know, based on the jungle you're against. Or maybe if it's a team fight, maybe I just need to, like, play the fight a bit more slow. Try to look for a better opposition to flank. Maybe use my pings effectively to let my team initiate and then force me to get a better pick on an enemy. Like, there's always things you can learn, but it's just knowing these things and really assessing it. If you really want to get better, you're going to do this. And I guarantee every one of you in this video, you are going to do that as soon as you try. I promise you that. I promise you. Next, I guess, as well, in terms of just, like, how to break out of them, is avoid. That simply means avoiding the bad habits. Avoid how to not fall into them. If you're having a bad streak, is it because it's just purely unlucky, or is it because of yourself? You have to really think of that too. Did you wake up, have a bad day? Did it affect your mental? Did it affect, like, the way you're focusing on things, your concentration? It's also really important to account just all these things, like, did you eat a good meal? Did you eat too big of a meal? Too little? Did you get enough sleep? Is your day balanced out? Is there less stress? Like, that's just how it is, you know? Like, you need to manage these effectively to avoid into these hard-stuck habits. And finally, though, from all our points on how to break out of being hard-stuck, I do think it is simply to also improve. If you play with the ability to improve, you will get better. You will grow as a player, a person even. But just in life, things are going to happen. You're going to, you know, run into problems, you're going to have unexpected things happen, you're going to have setbacks, but it's all about the type of person that you are that will, you know, develop who you are and what you will become eventually, and you're only going to have good things from that. And with League of Legends, it's the same thing. If you only focus on yourself, you ignore all the tilting teammates, all the people flaming you, all the people trying to put you down and create negative atmosphere, then you will focus on your goal and you'll get past all of that, and then you'll shoot into your desired rank. However, this will always exist. I won't say it's going to disappear. I'm playing in Masters to Challenger over the years, and all these players are still the same. You get people that are AFK, people that are toxic, people that try to run you down or int you. It will happen. However, just be the better person. If you really want to climb, I just hope you guys can take my advice, because I think this is probably the biggest thing all you guys need than my guides. And that is simply to just, you know, try to fix being hard stuck. And I hope you guys also tune in to my climb next week, or maybe this week, I should say. Like, I don't know when I'm posting this video, probably on Monday. So yeah, if you guys want to check me out, just check my Godrekton, op.gg. Also, I do want to say that I was inspired just by my own climb, but I was also inspired from my recent coaching session I had with a player. Me and him talked over a lot of these concepts, and I did go into depth about the whole idea of mental and mindset, and I think that was a big thing that was stopping him as we were talking about it. And, you know, for anyone else that wants some insight or just like someone to talk to, or like, you know, who really wants to improve as well, just generally anything, then I highly recommend you to check out my coaching. It is something that I've started to do a lot more recently and want to do a lot more of. And, you know, if you guys want to get coaching or you're interested, just join my Discord, DM me on Discord as well, or go to my stream and just ask me, and we'll set something up, you know, if you're interested. My prices are on the screen right now and everything else. Just a little plug, I guess, because we're at the end of the video. But yeah, if you guys want to, like, you know, have any more knowledge or any additional help on mindset or anything in general, then I highly recommend that too. With all that being said, that is basically it. This is my, not really a guide, but just a little like talking video just on mindset, because I think mindset is not talked about well enough. And with the world being more developed on what, you know, mental health is and all that as well, like, I think it's a very important topic to also realize these type of factors too, where the thinking aspect of League is as much important as the playing aspect. Because we can all play, we can all understand things, but the matter of fact is, if your mental is not right, then that's what's really going to get you from being the best player that you can be possible, which I really do feel like a lot of people can be. But yeah, with that said, thank you all for watching. Thanks for all checking out the video. If you enjoyed it and want more type of videos like this, like maybe talking videos about certain topics and stuff like that, then make sure to leave the video a like, make sure to sub, comment, whatever it might be. Join my Discord if you want to talk to me personally or anything like that, or check out my coaching. And I will see you guys next time, and I hope you all have a good solo queue journey. Hope it all goes well, and let me know in the comments if this all made sense to you too. With that said, peace out and have a good one.